We're going to talk about a strategy today. We've actually talked about several strategies on ways to add to get a sum. We've talked about associative property of addition. We've talked about commutative property. We've broken our numbers by the place value to add them. Well, today we're going to talk about a strategy called the break apart strategy. And there's another word for it. Once you get your numbers broken apart, it's called expanded form. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. So if we turn to page, what page are we on, 25? In our math book, let's take a look at how to use the break apart strategy to add. Is there anybody in here that'd like to read Unlock the Problem?
There are more zoos in Germany than in any other country. At one time, there were 355 zoos in the United States and 414 zoos in Germany. How many zoos were there in the United States and Germany altogether?
Okay, excellent reading. So there's a word in there, a clue word that tells us what we're going to be doing, what operation we're going to be using. Wow, I've got hands already. Jamie?
Altogether.
Very good. And when you see that word altogether, what operation will you use?
Adding.
You will be adding. So we're going to find the sum of 355 plus 414. But before we do that, let's estimate our problem. Let's round our numbers. Check in your flip book. What does round mean in the vocabulary section of your flip book? Logan? Hold on. I love that you're so ready to go. Good job.
Tell us you about how much or about how many.
Okay, so we're going to round our numbers. So it's not going to be exactly 355 and 414. We're going to round them to see about how much. So go ahead in your math book and take a look at step 1. And what did they round 355 to? Aaron? 355. What did they round 355 to? 400. Who can explain why they rounded to 400? Explain. Nolan?
The 355 is there's a lot. I just imagined a line that is 50 and 50 and it's 55, so you can, and so it's more, so it's going to be 400.
Okay, very good. I like that you imagined that line. We talked about that last week. Very good. Okay, how about 414? Everybody, they rounded 414 to 400. So we can do that in our head, right? We've talked about adding by tens and hundreds. 400 plus 400 is?
800.
800. Go ahead and write 800 in that line right there. Okay. Here's what we do to break those numbers apart. If you look off to the right-hand side of your math book, do you see those little blue rectangles up there? They're kind of like blanks. We have to fill them in. We are taking apart our numbers by place value. So if I'm looking at 355 right here, how many hundreds do I have in 355? How many hundreds do I have? Faye?
5.
How many hundreds? 300s, right? So that's why they put a 300 here, because that represents our place value in hundreds. How about tens? How many tens do I have? Devin? Draven?
5.
5 tens, and that equals?
50.
What does 5 tens equal?
50.
50. So let's go ahead and sneak in that 50 there. And how many ones are there in 355? Ashton?
5.
There are 5 ones, and you can see that they already have that there for us. So we broke apart that number. We put it in expanded form. We've got it separated by hundreds, tens, and ones. Take a look at 414. How many hundreds are in 414?
400.
Yeah, there are 4 hundreds, so that's 400. How many tens? I love all your hands up. Good job, Mackenzie.
0.
There are 0 tens? How many tens?
10.
Yeah, there's just 1 10, so it's just 10, and they already have that for us. And how many ones are in 414? Grace.
4.
4, and they already put that up. So now we're ready to add this way, and it should be really fast, right? Because when we're adding ones, that's super easy. 5 plus 4 is? 5 plus 4 is? 9. Here we're adding our tens. 50 plus 10.
60.
And our hundreds. 300 plus 400. Is
700.
that the answer to our problem? 700 plus 60 plus 9? Jamie,
769.
how did you do that?
Because I just took the 700 and then I added 60 and then I added 9.
So you just took the hundreds, the 7 from the hundreds, and you just took the 6 from the tens, and then you put your ones in here. It's 769. Wow, good job. All right, let me scroll down here a little bit. And let's take a look at example number 2. Okay, 467 plus 208. Step 1 is to estimate. Logan reminded us what estimating or rounding is. So we rounded our numbers. Would you agree with the author of this book here? 467, does that round to 500?
No.
467? What number is in the place value of hundreds? Avery A. 4. What do I look at?
6, 56.
Oh, let's see. Grace told us that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't add 1, we just ignore. And who told us 5, 6, 7, 8, we add 1? Somebody else did that earlier. So this is a 6, so what does it tell us to do? Add 1. So am I going to add 1 to my tens or my hundreds? Very good. What happens to the rest of my numbers? Okay, so was the author of the book right? Yes. 467 rounds up to 500. 208, like Grace would say, 208 is pretty close to 200, so it's going to round down to 200. All right, here's the easy part. 500 plus 200.
700.
So please write it in. Let's break apart our numbers, okay? Are you with me? Let's break apart our numbers. They started it for us. 467. They did our hundreds, right? We have 4 hundreds. Okay. How many tens? Aaron?
6.
6 tens, so that would be
60.
60. Very good. How many ones? Okay. 7 ones. That's right. Did we break apart 467?
Yeah.
Are you writing it in your book?
Yeah.
Keep up. Stay with me. All right, how about 208? They didn't give us the hundreds. Who can raise their hand and tell me how many hundreds are in 208? Oh, let's see. I like all your hands up. Good job. Ian. Very good. There are 200, so that makes 200. Okay. Wow, they even added it up for us, didn't they? Check it to make sure it's right. Sometimes we make mistakes. We need to check it and make sure it's right. How many hundreds do we have? What needs to go there in the box? It's easy? Okay, good. Okay, so are they right? 400 plus 200 is 600. Is that right?
Yeah.
60 plus 0?
Yeah.
Okay, what's that called? Who can remember what that's called? When you add a number by 0, the sum is that number. What kind of property is that? you don't remember, look in your flip book under the vocabulary. When you add a number to 0, the sum is that number. What property was that? What do you think? Nolan? Yes, identity property. Very good. Whenever you add a number by 0, the sum is that number. And 7 plus 8 is 15. Oh boy, that's above tens. In our one spot, what are we going to do? What do you think? Who said regroup? I think a few people said regroup. Who can help us out here? Help me out. How are you going to regroup this? Jamie?
You just add another 10 to the tens place.
Very good. So then I'm going to add another 10 to this tens place, and that will give me 70. So I've got 600 plus 70 plus 15. Is that right?
No. You don't.
Jamie?
You don't take the tens place anymore. You just take the ones place since you already added it to.
Very good. I already added my tens, so I just need to see my ones, right? So now I've got 600 plus 70 plus 5. How about an answer? Antia?
675.
Wow. Way to go. Very good. Please write that in. Oh, looks like Carrie's already took care of that. Good job. Okay, on to the Sharon Show. Let's turn our page, please. Down at the bottom of page 26 is our Sharon Show, as well as the top of page 27. What I would like for you to do, go ahead and turn the page again. Turn to page 27. Oh, is it all? Okay, very good. I have to turn the page, right?
Yeah.
Okay, on page 27, there are 4 problems that you are going to complete at this time. You need to show what your estimate is, just like we did in our examples. So when we're estimating, we're finding about the right answer, okay? So you're going to round 142 and you're going to round 436 and add up your numbers that you rounded and put them in the estimate box. Then I want you to use the break apart strategy to find your sum, just like we did. Break it apart into hundreds and tens and ones. When you are finished with these 4 problems, you'll need to raise your hand so I can come by and check them. After you get your papers checked, you know what you're supposed to do, right? You need to break into your groups. Small group will come up here. Literature over at this table. Game at the back. And you can use the 3 computers in the back of the room. If we get to that point and all the center spots are taken, who can raise their hand and explain to me what you need to do while you wait for a center to open up? I love all these hands because that means you know what you're supposed to do and there shouldn't be any questions about what you're supposed to do. What are you supposed to do? Kennedy.
You're supposed to do your practice paper.
Awesome. And up on the board, challenge path, if you miss one, and small group, here's what you're supposed to do. And on your desk is your chart. If you miss 0, which box do you check?
Challenge.
And on what day?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. We're on Tuesday, right? And then you also are supposed to be keeping track of which center activity you go to each day. So yesterday, if you went to the computer, can you go to the computer today?
Yeah. No.
You gotta find a different center. Okay, you have 10 minutes to work on these 4 problems. If you're not done in 10 minutes, then you will be part of the small group to get extra help up front. Don't forget the steps. Estimate, break apart, solve.